And Israel held an event at the United Nations in New York, which focused on sexual violence against women during the October 7th attack by Hamas militants.
Well, Israel has been critical of the world body's response to the attacks. The Hamas group denies the abuses altogether. In a pre-recorded video, former U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton said, and I'm quoting her here, "Rape as a weapon of war is a crime against humanity."
As a global community, we must respond to weaponized sexual violence wherever it happens with absolute condemnation. There can be no justifications and no excuses. Rape as a weapon of war is a crime against humanity.
Hitting out, Israel's UN envoy said that UN women ignored all the proof and were blind to all the evidence. Keynote speaker Sheryl Sandberg called upon the entire UN to formally condemn Hamas for these rapes.
UN women ignored all of the proof and were blind to all the evidence, including video footage of clear testimonies of sexual crimes. Instead of immediately supporting the victims, UN women brazenly suggested that Hamas's gender-based violence be investigated by a blatantly anti-Semitic UN body.
This moment is so critical. We have come so far in establishing that rape is a crime against humanity, and we have come so far in believing survivors of sexual assault in so many situations. That's why the silence on these war crimes is dangerous. It threatens to undo decades of progress, to undo an entire movement.
UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres told the Security Council last week that sexual violence committed on the 7th of October must be vigorously probed and prosecuted. Hamas rejected the accusations of rape and sexual violence by Palestinian militants during the group's October 7th attacks on Israel. The Islamist group dismissed claims by women and advocacy groups as part of what it dubbed as a series of Israeli lies since the start of the war.
And as UN hears first-hand accounts of the horrors of October 7th, our correspondent Susan Tarani sends us this report from New York. Take a listen.
A timely and emotional event at the United Nations headquarters on Monday as members of the medical team, police and lawyers, among others, shared their first-hand account, showed footage and talked about their findings and investigations regarding the shocking horrors of sexual violence against Israeli women on October 7th when Hamas attacked Israel. Not a single seat was empty in a room full of tears and disappointment. New York Senator Kristen Gillibrand, as well as Israel's ambassador to the United Nations and former U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, all wondering why silence on so many after these atrocities committed by Hamas, not only from the United Nations, women's groups, but also many in the international community as well. UN Women, after 2 months, issued a statement condemning these acts of sexual violence. However, Israel and their allies say that condemnation is too little too late, and the UN, including UN Women, should be doing more. Susan Tehrani reporting from New York for WION World is One.
Now, Susan also spoke with Gilad Erdan, Israel's permanent representative at the United Nations. Erdan slammed the UN Human Rights Council, accusing them of abandoning Israeli women while Hamas used sexual violence as a tool in their war against Israel. Listen in.
Of this event for you and for all Israelis?
The significance was that Israeli women were abandoned by UN Women and by many international women organizations. On October 7th, we know that Israeli women were raped, were brutalized, were mutilated. The Hamas terrorists used rape as a tool in their genocidal war to annihilate the state of Israel, to terrorize our citizens, to drive us out of our country out of fear. And we know that this is a very fundamental principle, that rape should never be used as a tool in wars. But suddenly the UN women stay silent, a disgraceful silence. And so I thought that it's so important to recruit and ask for the help of women leaders, for many other ambassadors and leaders who told and send a clear message to the UN. Enough with your hypocrisy, enough with your double standards. Women should be protected worldwide, and Israeli women are also women. You cannot ignore the rape of Israeli women because of your politics, because of your distorted moral standards.